Now everyone goes quiet. As soon as you start recording, it's the pressure's on.
Right, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do, Alex. I think I'm gonna make a start. So thanks everyone for attending this afternoon's session on Horizon Europe funding. I'm going to pass over to Alex Chalkley, who's got expertise in European funding, to introduce himself and then take you through some presentation on Horizon Europe funding, after which we will have a Q&A session. Can I ask just some house rules, please? It's grateful if you could put your mics on mute. And then at the end of Alex's presentation, please either type your questions into the chat box, or at the end of Alex's presentation, if you'd be so kind to raise your hand. So if you look on the top here of your screen, there's a face with a hand on it. Just click on it and just go to the hand, raise your hand, and then I'll come to you, and then you can unmute yourself and ask your question to Alex. Alex, your presentation will be about 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And probably more time for questions than presenting, I think.
Brilliant, absolutely fine. So without much further ado, I'm going to hand over to Alex. And as I said, grateful if you can put your mics on mute. So over to you, Alex.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. So this is just briefly what I look like. And then I'm going to switch to slides. So hopefully everyone can see that. I'm relying on you, Abs, for any questions that come in ad hoc, because I can't see.
Okay, sure, Alex.
See the chat. Great. So my company is Venturenomics. Prior to this consultancy, I ran a business consultancy around funding and specifically innovation grant writing in the UK for 10 years. In the last 3 years, I have stepped away from day-to-day activities with that company and moved to North Germany. So I'm just an hour north of Hamburg, an hour south of the Danish border, not far from Berlin, and getting very much involved more so in European funding, which is the topic today, and in particular accessing European funding for UK companies in the context of Brexit, and also in the context of Horizon Europe, which is the new funding programme with calls coming on stream as we speak. So yes, jumping straight in. So Horizon Europe now takes over from Horizon 2020. So 2021 to 2027, there is a huge amount of funding available, figures something like 100 billion euros. And the vast majority of that funding is allocated to innovation. So research and innovation, research and development, startups, scale-ups, and research, scientific research is really where the focus of the European money is. Today, there's no way we can cover Horizon Europe. It's a massive beast, as you can imagine. So today we're going to look at specifically the EIC funding. So under that EIC program, and some of you might remember the SME instrument under Horizon 2020, and that got renamed towards the end of that program to the EIC Accelerator, which really was aimed at disruptive, innovation-led SMEs, and awarded funding in the region of anywhere from £500,000 to €5 million grants for scale up, getting to market, and preparing to launch or launching further. So EIC Accelerator has 3 main pathways this time round. I'm going to focus most of my time on the EIC Accelerator, which is the box on the far right, because the majority of people here are in that SME startup spin-out space, and I think that is most relevant. That said, the Pathfinder and Transition funds are worth knowing about. And if you want to know more, I think the slide deck will be shared, and I put some links at the bottom of the various slides to the work programs and to the live calls and so on, so you can read a bit more. The main difference is with the Pathfinder and Transition, you need to partner to access the funding. And that has a range of benefits, not least in getting heads together to solve problems and gaining access through your partnerships that might be 2 or 3 or 4 years long to European markets and global markets. So the EIC Accelerator then, startups and SMEs and spin-outs, really we're talking about deep tech, novel technologies, disruptive technologies that either have the capability to disrupt existing markets or create new markets. When we say the majority of funding will be awarded through open calls, that means that some of the funding will be themed, but in our case, we can think about the open calls, and it would be difficult not to be eligible. So from a UK point of view, a UK company is eligible to apply for this EIC Accelerator. If you're a European company or you have a European office, you can apply for grants and investment funding. So the grant is anywhere up to 2.5 million, and the investment is then another potentially 15 million euros that the European Commission will either provide or help you find. But UK companies can only go for that grant funding. So not to state the obvious, but grant funding does not need to be repaid and does not demand any equity back from or in exchange for the funding. The total project cost that you can specify will be funded typically at a 70% intervention rate, they call it. So you will have to find the other 30% from fresh investment or from revenues or from cash in the bank if you're lucky enough to be at that stage. In-kind contributions are not eligible as match funding, so just bear that in mind, or money that you've already spent would not be eligible for match funding. The kind of projects that you're looking at really need, as I mentioned, to be innovative, disruptive, novel, game-changing, all of those buzzwords. Ideally, they would align with European global priorities like the UN SDGs or the European Green Deal. They would have positive impact on some of the bigger challenges that society is facing. That said, there is no sector that is excluded from this funding opportunity. It's just about maximizing your chance of success. And if your company is innovating in an area that is also hitting global, addressing global problems, then that is going to improve your chance of success. Under Horizon 2020, the EIC Accelerator had 2 phases, a phase 1 with a €50,000 grant and a phase 2 with a €2.5 million grant. This time that has changed. It's a 2-stage process, and there's an expression of interest stage, which basically shouldn't take too long to get through. There's no funding attached. It's a go, no go decision. So you need to provide a 5-page project summary. They're really looking at the innovation, the market, and the team in this EOI stage. So the summary details, or you answer some questions, put some text together. The video is a 3-minute video, and really the idea behind it is to get an idea of your team. So it's up to 3 people. You should introduce your key team members, and it doesn't have to be high tech or glossy, so we're told. It's more about understanding the team and the capabilities. And then the pitch deck is 10 slides. It doesn't have any prescribed format or layout, but again, they're interested in the innovation, the market, and the team at this stage. Once you submit that, within 4 weeks, and it should be a lot quicker, it will be assessed by 4 expert assessors who will come back with a go or no-go decision. A go decision means you are green lighted to go for a full stage application, which is kind of familiar to those of you who know the EIC Accelerator. It's still looking at a 30-page application and supporting documents, with the addition of an interview stage if you are successful in that 30-page application. Deadlines, I've just put up the 2 deadlines for 2021 in June, I think the 21st from memory, and in October. You can't apply to those deadlines until you've had the EOI stage approved. So just make sure that you get that approval before putting in the work for the full application. So there's 3 key areas that you need to address. In the EOI stage, you're really only looking at a part of excellence and a part of impact. But at the full stage, then you need to address all 3, and you have 30 pages in which to address that. So put the key questions here that the assessors are going to review your application against, and if you can convince them that you have that high degree of novelty and disrupt or create markets, and the timing is correct, you will get a go on excellence. 3 goes from 3 assessors means you get invited to interview and have a good chance of getting the funding. The timing for the innovation is an interesting one this time round. It's not only the technology. Sorry, there's a bit of interference on someone's mic. Someone might need to just mute. We've got some children playing in the background. Makes me want to go outside. Thank you. That's much better.